advocate of Simbox, delighted this evening to welcome onto the channel Jeremiah Dreamland Milton. Jeremiah, as I was saying off camera, it's been a long time coming, get you on the Simbox channel, man. So I appreciate your time this evening, UK time, this afternoon, US time. So yeah, welcome to the channel. Thank you.
Yo, cheers. Shout out to everybody across seas, man, across the pond, as you would say.
So we can see there that you're in the gym, training, working hard. How's training going early in 2026 for yourself?
Oh, yeah. Right now, everything's just been about like restabilizing, getting back in position. I'm over here with Bob Santos now. The gym out in Vegas, still in Vegas. I would say it's been a good start to the year. Just watching the landscape kind of unfold. You got all the new promotions out there, the Zuffa boxings, and just seeing everything that's kind of just happening right now. But making sure I'm stabilizing myself.
Of course, a name you mentioned there that we'll pick up on Zuffa Boxing. As a pro yourself, you've been with Top Rank. You'll take opportunities on other events if it comes up. Zuffa Boxing, they're saying Dana White that they might not recognise the four governing bodies, the sanctioning bodies. They'll only recognise the Ring magazine and their own Zuffa Boxing title. You're a boxer. You've grew up as a boxer. You've had dreams of winning titles, this, that, and the other. Is Zuffa something you'd consider and give up those dreams of winning sanctioning body titles and go with something new, something fresh? What's Jeremiah's mindset in terms of Zuffa boxing in 2026?
Yeah, me personally, I'm just about like making sure that the opportunity is right. I feel like you can't be in this sport and not kind of clash. But Dana, he's obviously kept the UFC its own brand. Like you've never really seen a crossover Bellator or nothing like that. When it comes down to UFC fighters, it's always promoting in-house. So it'll be interesting to see how they shake down the line. But it's always mixed emotions, right? Because you've had this traditional boxing sense in your mind since you started the game, and you're like, "Yo, the green belt, WBC, get up there and just the emotions." And then you had Terrence Crawford, the guy who's kind of championing the sport right now. What I'm saying, tarnish those belts, and he's like, "Yo, what are they?" But different strokes for different folks, bro. Honestly, he's reached a certain position to where it's different things for him. So I think it'll always be prestigious
Yeah.
in a sense. Like I don't know who's not aspiring to get there because you haven't tasted it. Um, but at the end of the day, you know that's why I'm over here. It's the home of prize fighters. I don't know if you can see that back there,
Yeah,
but
of course.
yeah, we are prize fighters at the end of the day, and that's what Bob Santos is all about. Putting his guys in position and also just making sure like they're ready for the fights. And you can't forget the money. You can't forget the money.
Yeah, of course. Like you say, prize fighting is the game. Talk to me about boxing in America at the minute, Jeremiah. We've seen the Golden Boy potentially leaving his own top ranker without a mainstream broadcast partner. Showtime are not involved anymore. HBO days are over with. Zuffa Boxing looking to make waves. What's the landscape like from the eyes of an American boxer at the minute with the way boxing is in the States? You've got the zone, but after that, there's not really much else going on.
Yeah, that's just the problem. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we're kind of just being left in the dark. You could say, oh, they don't have the fighters, they don't have this, they don't have that. But it's like the fighter is nothing without the promoter, you know? And the promoter's getting up there barking and saying, this guy's the best, this guy is everything, and da 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 da. So, yeah, when we don't have a large push coming from a business standpoint, fighters just kind of get stuck in no man's land. And unfortunately, you know what I'm saying, it's kind of like what I've been going through as far as like being a free agent and trying to figure out where I'm actually land and just, trying to make the most out of my opportunities. But it's a bit it's a bit like everybody's just waiting for somebody else to do it right now. And that's just the kind of the bad side to it.
Do you think the idea of Zuffa coming in then and making these kind of waves, like I say, and shaking things up, that it could even out the playing field, that it's going to give fighters like yourself, free agents that have got the freedom to move around, more scope for potential opportunities in the years to come?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they've had some good signings already, and they're picking up their roster, and they're keeping guys busy. So, like, what are they on their second show already last night? So I feel as if like, with the backing and with the push behind it, Dana White is also, a top, what do you say? He's a top competitor in this space, you know what I'm saying? Combat sports, right? He's been doing it for a long time, and I know it'd be more of an ego thing to want to be the best, you know what I'm saying? To want to compete with Eddie Hearns and the Frank Warrens, the Bob Arums. So you're gonna have a lot of momentum behind it. And so far, the fighters that have already been signed and picked up on it, they've had nothing but good things to say for themselves. And I think it gives somebody that isn't like, on the upper echelon of this sport an opportunity to, stay busy and to make sure they're getting consistent checks.
Yeah, absolutely. We look forward to see what comes from Zuffa Boxing. I want to go back to this past Saturday night to begin with. On the zone, Shakur Stevenson's win over Teofimo Lopez. On the undercard, I think the fight that would have stood out most to you, with it being a heavyweight contest, was uh, Big Baby Jarrell Miller against Kingsley Ibe, and it was a hair-raising fight to say the least. Jeremiah, you didn't waste too much time in getting on social media and sharing your thoughts, your opinion. What was going through your mind at that point? Obviously, Jarrell Miller Kingsley IB was, a potentially good fight, but it's going to be remembered in it for that viral moment with the toupee and whatnot. What was going through your mind when you seen that?
I mean, shout out to Black History Month over here in the States, man. I ain't never seen a man unit before. I ain't never heard of a man unit actually. I've heard conspiracies on it, but when I met Jarrell out there, I was like, man, something's kind of off with the meeting. And then like the guy that was with us, like, oh, y'all get a picture together. He's a solid dude. It's not that I didn't want a picture with him or nothing, but now I'm just like I'm zooming in on the photo, like, man, was that what I was that it the whole time? Was that thing sitting up there? Like, it was interesting, bro, because I'm like, damn, like, maybe this whole time, I've been bamboozled, you know what I'm saying, to think like that was really his head. But but hey man, we got a comedian over here, Bernie Mac, man. He
Yeah,
said, just be yourself. Motherfuckers don't like you, just be yourself, Fuck them. Yeah, excuse my language. But that's what he said, man. So it's like, yo, hey, I don't know what made him jump in the ring with that on, but some people are like, oh, maybe he did it to go viral. I don't believe that. When he was there's a clip where he was sitting with his barber, right? And usually after you get a haircut, this is all my real hair,
yeah.
all that's mine. Um, so
Are you sure?
usually when you go
Are you
up
sure
there,
that's not stuck down? Are you sure?
ain't no
We
ain't no
can't be too
glue
true
up
now.
on it. Yo, you zoom in on the roots. Get the roots. Get the hey yo. So look, when you go up there, man, and usually like when you get out of the barber chair, you kind of like you feeling yourself, man. Hey, when you look at the video, he didn't believe that shit himself, man. He was unconfident. He was unsure. He was looking like, yo, is this shit really gonna stay up?
Yeah, I think
But look, hey man, he turned it around. He's doing interviews and stuff, and everybody's talking. So like he's in good spirits. But he jumped to the oh yeah, my whole life I've been bullied type thing. He even blamed his mama. It's too much, bro.
But that's the thing, though, isn't it? Because, like, I don't lace up the gloves. I don't go in there and fight. I just sit on this side of the camera and talk about it. So, all respect to every fight that gets in the ring. But the fight didn't deliver. It wasn't a great fight to watch, was it? But that's going to be forgotten about. He got the W, and he's went viral. And certainly from a marketability point of view, he's had his issues in the past, and his name's kind of been tarnished. He's rebuilding. But this viral moment is going to send his name into the stratosphere, and people are going to be intrigued now to see more of Dreamland Miller. So it's kind of going to work in his favor in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, who knows how he follows that shit up? Because that's amazing, bro. Yeah, it's gonna work in his favor for sure, man. Hell, it's amazing, bro. Like, what the hell happened to his head? Everybody's saying different things, and they saying, maybe his past history, maybe that's why he lost his hair. Who knows? I don't know. You remember the Ninja Turtles when they grew into the Ninja Turtles? They got in that ooze and shit. You know, that's kind of how I feel like maybe that's what happened. Maybe he was in New York somewhere. He just crawling around the sewer, ended up in some of that ooze. But yeah, man. I couldn't believe that he blamed his mama though. You said I went to my mama's house.
Yeah, shout out to Mama Miller. We'll
Shout out
support
to Mama
Team Mama
Miller, man.
Miller.
She ain't deserve that. She didn't deserve that, man.
Just a quick
Yeah,
word on
shout out
Shakur
to Mama
Stevenson.
Miller.
A quick word on Shakur Stevenson in the main event. How impressed was you with the way he went about his business against Teofimo?
Oh man, come on. Look, I think everybody, whether you like Shakur personally or whatever, you can't deny those boxing skills, man. TLFimo, it was a mix of, Shakur just being on that level, that just, composure, everything. And then T.O. just not really developing a game plan. Like we've seen this multiple times out of him to where you get away with a lot of athleticism. You know what I'm saying? You can just do things that are abnormal, but you go against a guy who is very athletic himself with the fundamentals, with the IQ. And it's just like, yo, just fucking use a jab, bro. Like, stop jumping in, stop with all the you're the champion. If this guy doesn't want to engage, which he hasn't like engaged like for the majority of his career, don't try to force it. And that's just something simple, simple that your father wasn't even telling you. Your father's judging you in the corner. I seen a reel. It was like they was like, "Yo, I wish Tio, I wish Shakur was my son." Like that's the type of advice he was giving him. Like, but not to take away from Shakur because he didn't run. You know what I'm saying? He didn't. He didn't. He stayed where the fuck he was at and beat him up with the jab. Um, so why don't Tio just start with a jab? That's all you got to do. Start with a jab, something. But instead, he was out of position, lunging in with his feet, and he just looked stuck in the mud, man. It was a master class performance from Shakur.
Of course. Now that's his fourth, his a world title in the fourth weight class for Shakur Stevenson. Did you see scope in there for Shakur to potentially go up to 147 if he decided to? Do you think he could win a belt as high as 147, or do you think 140 is about the limit for Shakur?
I'm a heavyweight man, so you're asking the wrong guy, bro. We give up all types of weight, so I'll be. I know it's a big difference for them sometimes, but at the end of the day, them skills, man. Andre Ward would probably say the same thing. Like those skills will always pay the bills. And this is why guys like James Tony and stuff like that could climb.
Yeah,
So is if it's a mental thing with these guys most of the time. You heard Shakur, I'm stronger than him. Yeah, bro, you probably was gonna be stronger than him. You got a better base. Um, and you gotta tell yourself to psych yourself up when you're in there. But yeah, he could definitely do something at 147. It just depends on if he would want to. You know what I'm saying? Like these fights, we need more fights like this, but it also kind of crashes the guy like Teofimo is still an exciting fighter. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna do things creatively and get away with a lot of things based off his athleticism.
yeah.
But we don't get these fights because a lot of times it usually, sends the other guy fucking into some hole or something.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to both guys. It was a great event. Let's bring it back round to Dreamland. 2025 wasn't the greatest year for yourself. You took the losses for the first time, but the inactivity of 2024 didn't play a great part in that, I'd suggest. So, talk to me about the mindset of Jeremiah Milton recovering from those defeats. Like you say, people sometimes protect the old too much, don't challenge themselves, they're too scared of being beaten. You've had to take them licks. Where's the mindset of Jeremiah Milton at now on the back of those two losses? And is it relit a fire? Is it made you more hungry?
Yeah, yeah. Here's the thing. Like, um, yeah, no fights in 2024. Things just kind of being rushed in 2025. 2026, I just hope like for these guys and for these promoters and all these people out there, like, yeah, y'all take that into account and we're gonna see who shows up next time. So my whole thing right now has just been about refocusing, especially in my personal life. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that tend to go left and right, that is just out of your control sometimes. So my whole thing has just been like, okay, let's recenter. Let's get with a team that is gonna be, able to kind of see where I'm at, you know what I'm saying, as well, and always keep a door open for me. But it's always going to be the man in the mirror that you got to check first. And that's just kind of where I've been with it, trying to figure out where the fuck I went wrong. Yeah. And then, okay, what do I need to do? And will I do it to get over the hump or whatever the fuck it is. So yeah, I think I'm very aware of my shortcomings as far as like the last few years. Like I started having my own little issues going into 2024, and yeah, we're just here now, but we're still here. We're still trying to correct this thing, and we're gonna correct it. You know what I'm saying? Like I wish this sport, you know what I'm saying, was a bit different, but it is what it is, and I'm gonna make what I can make out of it.
Of course. Now you said that you have to check the man in the mirror sometimes, and that's the biggest and the bravest thing to do as a fighter. What was the biggest lessons you learned about yourself in 2025 then? What's the biggest things you've took from that that you're going to use as a positive heading into the new year to make sure you're as successful as you can be?
You know what? Take some people, remove some people from your circle, and then why ask yourself why did you end up in this situation? Because old me, I used to cut people off for a lot less. You know what I'm saying? Not even just on boxing terms, but like I didn't get this far to begin with, surrounded by a whole bunch of people. You know what I'm saying? I never did. When I was coming out of Oklahoma and just thinking about like, what it was when I first stepped out here, my circle was very small. In amateurs, it was just me. And not saying that I can't have people, but it got to be the right people. It got to be people that's championing you on, pulling you up, and uh, yeah, the thing about it was like I just kind of was moving like a loser over the last couple of years. Like I'm like, yo, fuck, man, you think about this, man. You moving like a loser, bro. Like, and what are you expecting? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're having all these other things going on, and you just need to stay the course. So and it's also a crime of just being talented too, because when you're super like I have to champion myself, you know what I'm saying? But I know what I've done. I know what I've done and how I've moved out here. And yeah, I think I just took a little bit too much for granted as far as like protecting myself from just certain little outside things.
Yeah, interesting. It's great to hear. Talk to me a little bit about Murat Gassiev because we've seen after the fight with yourself, he then went on to knock out Kubrat Pulev. He's won the WBA regular title, so it kind of shows the company you're mixing in. Talk to me about Murat Gassiev.
Hey, yeah, everything about that was was different. But it's funny. Like, his coach, their coach called me and was like, "Hey, what do you think about him?" And I was like, "Oh, he said, oh well, we got Pulev, he's fighting him," and I didn't realize that they were even fighting. Because that's just how out of whack I'm like, yo, I got a whole bunch of other shit going on.
Yeah,
So I'm like, oh, he he's obviously a good fighter. He didn't hit as hard as people would like to make out to believe, or at least that's what I thought. Um, and so I'm telling him, I'm like, hey, nah, man, Pulev got a lot of experience. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna do the things that I didn't quite do in the fight, and blase, blase. And then that shit happened. I'm like, oh, goddamn, like felt like I was lying to the man, but you know, I don't know, man. Gassiev is I felt like he was a cruiserweight in there. The fight was the fight. Um, Picked it up on like a 2 weeks notice, and it is what it is. But um, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just the state of where Pulev is at. But the knockout was nice. The knockout was nice. I don't understand. I didn't feel that type of power in there with him. I think you know a lot of heavyweights might look at that and be like, oh, he's back, but who knows? Who knows? We'll see. We'll see. And I'm wishing him the best. And hopefully, what I'm saying, through all the weirdness of boxing, we get to mix it again one day. You know what I'm saying? I'd be up for that. But yeah, life goes on.
yeah, for sure. Now, when I was looking at making my notes and a bit of research as I do for interviews like this, one of the questions I was going to ask you was about Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua, and then I come across I don't know why I've not seen it before, but there was rumors that Jake Paul dropped you in sparring, and it turned out was it DeAndre Savage. I don't know how I've never seen that story before.
Yeah, yo, I woke up that day with a whole bunch of like random messages and tags and shit. I'm like, what the hell is this? Funny enough, if you Google me, that's probably the first thing that still pops up. But yeah, DeAndre Savage, man. What a what a waste, man. I wish we could have got that fight popping a couple years ago. We used to bark a lot back and forth on the internet, and I've offered him to fight a couple of times when I had a team to get it across the line. Um, but yeah, never in life have I shared a ring with Jake Paul, and this was guaranteed to happen, AJ. And it's just so unfortunate that like we can't necessarily like bringing up AJ at this moment is kind of like that whole fight got overshadowed with what happened unfortunately to the team. But yeah, what a state of boxing we're in, where we talking AJ, Jake Paul, even sharing a night together, and uh, Jake might possibly be done with that injury. Who knows? But boxing, ain't it? It's a weird thing. Traditional boxing is in a funny place, but if you can call the shots, you can get the fights.
Yeah, for sure. And one fight that took boxing fans by surprise in the UK, I'm guessing it would have been the same stateside. Derek Chisora and Deontay Wilder, for a long time reigning WBC heavyweight world champion. He's found wins difficult to come by recently, but he's in a big fight with Derek Chisora, fight number 50 for both men, which is quite interesting. What's your
Oh
what's your
wow.
thoughts on that fight?
Love the fight, man. Love the fight. Deontay, he's such a chill guy now compared to how he was. But Chisora is so much more than what he was. And I think it's a great fight for both men to just, stamp out, hey, this was our war. He was kind of our war, like to this day, guy, versus, War Chisora. So a lot of energy in that ring. And where they're at in their stage of their career, it makes a lot of sense. So I like that fight. I like that fight a lot. I've become just a fan of Chisora's mentality and just the way he fucking carries himself in a crowd, man. He's a real legend, bro.
He's a real one-off. If I was to put you on the spot, do you sway one way or the other in terms of a prediction for that fight?
Not necessarily. You know, maybe Chisora edges it out a little bit, but um, I think we're going to see like if because Wilder's last fight wasn't very impressive by any stakes. He got the job done, but it was just like everything that once made him who he was missing. But even at that, I I just think like you know we're not gonna count him out because it's Deontay.
For sure, for sure. We look forward to that fight in the UK in April. Another fight I wanted to get your opinion on, your thoughts on. Jermaine Franklin, he's quite well known in the UK in terms of his fights with Dillian White and Anthony Joshua. But to your casual fan, maybe not the biggest of names, but Moses Atama is looking like one of the the best prospects in world boxing, never mind just heavyweight boxing. They're going to throw it down in March. It's a rescheduled fight. Jermaine Franklin, does he pose a problem for Moses Atama in your opinion?
Yeah, and the reason why is because, like you said, he's got a lot of experience, and he might not be known, but he's shown up in a lot of these fights, and I mean he's already what he beat the Ivan Denchko guy who I thought was a pretty decent fighter, and he did it with family tragedies and everything going on in his life, and so he probably wasn't even in the best of mindsets. So I think a focused Jermaine Franklin is a tough night for most people because sparring is one thing, but fighting is another. Moses Toma, amazing though, amazing fighter.
Do
I
you buy
think
the
he's.
hype? Do you buy the hype with Moses? Are you on board with him?
I don't really buy the hype in the same sense. Like I say, promotion is a hell of a drug, but does he have the mentality? Yes. Is he working? Yes. And I think just keeping a calm composure, having youth on your side and stuff like this, that's all going to factor in. But it's going to depend on what he does in those later rounds when somebody really sticks it to him. Dillian White, I thought the fucking losing that weight, okay, heavyweights are different. So we can't just cut all that weight and then expect to perform on the night. Like your body has settled, and it's gotten to this point. Muhammad Ali, right? Remember the fight? I don't know which one he was trying to do, but he tried to get his abs back. He tried to get this appearance. He was taking diet pills and all this stuff, and then he went to the fight like a shell, you know, because he left it in the gym. And so I'd say the same thing with Dillian that night. Like, um, as a fighter that's been in the game that long, when I looked at his body, I'm like, okay, you look like you're ready because you got all this definition and stuff like that. But man, you fucking you killed yourself, bro.
Yeah,
And so now he walks in there instead of being 100%. He's like, "Oh, I did this many rounds. I did this and that." And that. Yeah, well, you're just a dead man walking, you know. Like, and we needed that shit in the fight, not in the gym. You know, one thing about it, Andy Cruz. You know what I'm saying? Amazing fighter, just lost to Raymond Muay, you know what I'm saying? Like, if he was to come in the gym and that was a 4 round fight, then fucking, he just won the gold medal again. But instead, you got to go 12 fucking rounds. They're not working with you on the things that you need to work on. And so, my opinion on all that stuff is just, don't overcomplicate the boxing game.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Finally, in terms of boxing news, Tyson Fury returning to the game. He's taking on Aslanbek Makhmudov. He's coming back from back-to-back defeats to Alexander Usyk. Is boxing, heavyweight boxing, a better sport with characters like Tyson Fury back involved?
Yeah, of course, of course. Because even when you beat these guys, like until you beat them, like Usyk had to beat Josh a few times and beat Fury a few times, and then topple Dubois to just be like, oh man, what an amazing talent. You know what I'm saying? So like, passing the torch isn't as simple anymore as just beating the guy. You know,
Yeah,
like to be that person, to be a Derek to Zora, like something has to click with everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Because you can always be like, well, you could debate it till you're blue in the face. Oh, LeBron and fucking Jordan, you know what I'm saying? But it's like Rambo was the original Rambo. So like ain't nobody gonna play Rambo, after Rambo. It's gonna take a while, it's gonna take a while for people to be like, oh, that's the face. And again, promoters do it. Promoters do the legwork. Um, yeah, Moses Toma is Mike Tyson. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? But promoters do the legwork.
yeah. So, do you think Tyson Fury can reclaim former glories? Like I say, he's won all the belts there is to win. Do you think he's coming back for fame, for money, or do you think he's going to be able to go back in there and potentially win world titles again?
You got a man that never lost before, going off of two back-to-back losses, and he's already seen the world, and the world has pushed him to this like you're the best, and so a lot of it is, you know, not wanting to roll over and die. He got that gypsy blood in him. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna fight. He's gonna fight for sure, and that's all he's been doing. So I I think he has to move carefully, obviously, because he's a different fighter, and so being a different fighter, you have to, I don't know, you just have to understand fully what you're getting yourself into. I think this fight is a good fight for him because he'll always have that rhythm in him. It might not be as sharp as it was a few years back, who knows? But to get back to the top, they'd almost have to they'd almost have to give it to you at this point because there's too many guys on the door, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
It's an exciting time in the heavyweight division. But let's bring it back full circle. We'll close out with Dreamland. How does a 2026 play out perfectly for you? Who's on the hit list? Who would you ideally want to fight in 2026?
Yo, all of them, and I mean, like, I don't say that super cliche, like, I just feel like with a proper camp, with a proper, heads up, and right now, like I say, I just been working in silence right now. I'm gonna get back on there, blowing my horn at somebody, you know what I'm saying? I just got to figure out who. Um, But we need to get these these guys need to get in the ring. You know what I'm saying? And for me personally, I just want to first off, you know what I'm saying? I've already conquered myself, so now that I conquered me, now it's time for me to start like looking at the landscape and seeing how it's gonna unfold. But uh sometimes it's pointless, you know what I'm saying, to be like, oh yeah, I want to fight Jared Anderson, I want to fight this guy, because they just don't. They not really in the business of boxing, they're in the business of promotion. So if you're picked, you're picked. And I gotta make sure that I'm not getting too jaded looking at all that. Um, who knows? Maybe talking some shit will help, but I'm not just a shit talker, you know what I'm saying? I like to say shit. If I say something, it's because I felt that way. Jarrell Miller's cap was back, man. What the fuck? Like, it's not me talking shit about him. It's just, yo, that's fucking amazing. Like, yo, what's going on here, man? But yeah, I don't know. Boxing never been personal, but it's like I'm taking it personally. I'm taking it personally now. You know.
Yeah. Well, we look forward to what hopefully is a successful, exciting year for Dreamland in 2026. Jeremiah, I really want to thank you for your time tonight. Is there anything you'd like to add, get off your chest before we close out?
Nah, man. Last but I'll say is like, yo, shout out to you guys over there doing the legwork. Getting these interviews and stuff like that. Um, I know it's a different space even for media because so much of it is like controlled and stuff like that as well. So it's like how you even get in the door. But um, yeah, man, I appreciate all the supporters. I appreciate everybody, that loves the sport of boxing. And yeah, let's just turn this year up.
Good man. I appreciate your time, and I'm sure we'll catch up again real soon. Thank you.
Cheers.